Hey everybody, Delage here with yet another ClickTalk video where I discuss Heroclix sets from commons to chases. This should be the finale of the Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. set, and I actually have a little bit of a treat for you for the video after this. You're probably not as excited about this as I am, but I'm pretty excited about this. So, I got myself an entire Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. brick to crack. I'm going to be doing that in my probably next video with a friend of mine, Matt, who you might recognize from the War of Light unboxing that we did not too long ago. So look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what's in this sucker, I swear to God. But yeah, so we got the final commons in this set. We got some pretty cool guys up ahead, so let's get to it. Alright, so first up we have the Hydra recruit, who's pretty funny, but I kind of like him just because he's a recruit and no one expects him, and Hydra Agent H, who is, I think I've actually mentioned her in a previous video, and she's pretty cool, just from her star abilities, but we'll get into her in just a second. Let's start out with the Hydra recruit. He is basic click for single lightning, 20 points, so very cheap. He is most valuable when paired with the Imperial Hydra, who will show up in the Rares videos later down the line. But he's got a star ability. He's actually got the first occurrence of the Cut Off One Head ability, which is the Hydra form of the Rally ability. Actually, he might not be the first. I think the Deltite LMDs were on the field before them. But he's kind of the one I most immediately associate with that ability, just because he is dressed like a Hydra agent, lime green and yellow straps and all that. But yeah, he starts with sidestep, willpower, and enhancement. So he boosts his allies. He makes them be able to shoot a little bit harder, which works well with his Hydra team ability, which if two characters with a Hydra team ability are adjacent, then one character will reduce the defense of the character that the other character is shooting at. So you pair that with his enhancement ability, and this Hydra recruit just became a lot more valuable than the sum of its parts. Let's see, he has 3 clicks of life. He trades willpower for combat reflexes and his enhancement for empower after 1 click. But honestly, he's probably not going to land on that particular click for the battle. He's probably going to probably going to get KO'd right off the field, honestly. If he's lucky enough to land on that, that's great. On his 3rd click, he loses the sidestep, but doesn't really gain anything. But I mean, for 20 points for a click, he's cheap, and he's a great support character for the rest of your Hydra team, because you should probably be running a Hydra team if you've got this particular Hydra agent on your field. But anyways, that's the 20-point click. How about the actual named character version with the same sculpt, which is Hydra Agent H? Now, she's pretty cool. She's actually only 30 points more. She's not that much more expensive. 7 lightning is pretty ridiculous, if you ask me. I mean, that's almost halfway across the field for a 30-point character. That's great. But let's see. She's got double star ability. I've probably mentioned her in the Agent Ward video where he popped up. She has the Traitor Hydra to Shield ability. Now, Agent Ward had the Shield to Hydra ability, and like I mentioned, hers is the inverse. She will convert her Hydra friends into Shield agents because she is technically a traitor. She also has the Cut Off One Head ability, which is pretty cool. But let's see. Her click. She's got. She starts with Stealth, a Special, and Range Combat Expert. She keeps that for most of her dial for 2 clicks. And then on her last one, she trades her special called Daughter of the Imperial Hydra for Determined Turncoat, where she's basically the traitor, and she loses her special for willpower. So yeah, she's primarily stealth for 2 clicks. She's got a special, which I'll get into, and generally speaking, for 30 points, she's got some pretty neat tricks up her sleeve that can help out on a Hydra team. But yeah, let's get into her specials. I already mentioned the cut off one head and the Trader Hydra Shield ability, which is pretty cool. And then her last ability, the real trick up her sleeve, is Daughter of the Imperial Hydra. If she is adjacent to a friendly character with the Hydra keyword, she can use Shape Change. So, because she is the Daughter of the Imperial Hydra, which most people associate for being the leader of the Hydra group, she is able to transmit damage directed to her off of her onto like it just doesn't happen to her. Because of her shape change ability. It's not quite Mastermind, but like the intent is there for her to be able to sort of just, it's not me, it's someone else sort of thing. So that's pretty cool, and it's a neat little trick to get around the Mastermind's point rule, where you have to transfer your damage to somebody of a lower point value, and with her only being 30 clicks, it's a neat way for her to avoid a lot of damage coming at her. But yeah, that's them. So what's next? Alright, next up we have the Hydra Infiltrator, who's pretty cool, and his counterpart, the Hydra Annihilagent. He's got some pretty cool powers, and he's definitely a little bit more powerful than this one. They're both technically generic characters. One's a little bit more powerful than the other, but there's no like named Hydra character in this particular grouping. They're both kind of just like they're both just kind of generic characters, which is, it kind of, I don't want to say it makes sense, but it kind of just sort of fits. You don't see a lot of Hydra agents. You see mostly like the leaders, and then, oh, here's all the minions that the heroes have to fight through to get to the leaders. So it kind of makes sense in its own way. But let's get into the two Hydra agents. First off, we've got the Hydra Infiltrator. Now, he's got 4 single lightning, a star, and an improved trait, plus some pretty cool abilities. His improved trait is Black Ops, so considering he's an infiltrator, it sort of makes sense for him to have Black Ops training. So he can ignore hindering terrain while moving, so he can move through the rubble and kind of all the way up to the enemy's lines, which is great, especially considering that on his first click he has stealth, so he would definitely want to be hiding in that hindering terrain until someone comes close enough for him to do something. But yeah, his next ability is Cut Off One Head, which we've mentioned in previous videos. Whenever a Hydra agent is KO'd, he can remove action tokens from up to 2 characters. So it's a good way to keep your force moving if you have to lose characters. But yeah, his dial, nothing special there. He's got stealth, and what is that, purple? Oh, he got stealth, smoke cloud, willpower. And then he quickly trades the willpower for combat reflexes, much like the Hydra recruit. I find that interesting. And then trades pretty much everything. He gains sidestep instead of stealth, Blades Claw's Fangs instead of Smoke Cloud, and yeah, he keeps the combat reflexes. And then he has that for a dial, and then he trades out the combat reflexes for willpower again, and then he's KO'd. So he's got 4 clicks of life. 2 of it is spent with Stealth Smoke Cloud, and 2 of it is spent with Blades Claw's Fang Sidestep, and then he interchanges the willpower and the combat reflexes. Overall, for 30 clicks, he's not bad. He's got some great stealth abilities, so he fits well on those sorts of teams. Smoke Cloud, I've never actually really used practically, so I don't know how well it applies in combat situations. But stealth is always great. Blaze Claw's Fangs can either help you or hinder you. With his dial, I'd say it definitely helps because he's got a 2 attack. So if he hits a critical fail, he's not doing much. He's not doing really any damage. If he gets a 2, then he's doing exactly what he would have done printed anyway. So it didn't hurt to roll. And anything above that, he's got a 66% chance of doing more damage than he would have normally. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Hydra Annihilagent. He has similar click design, 5 single lightning instead of 4, 40 clicks instead of 30, so he's a little bit more powerful. He's also got Black Ops and Cut Off One Head ability, but his dial is a little bit more powerful. He also comes with Stealth, which is great, but he also has Quake, toughness, and shape change. So he's a little harder to hit. If you hit him, you don't do as much damage, and Quake is just beautiful. I love it. Quake deals 2 damage to all characters adjacent that he could make a close combat attack. So you get him up next to 2 characters. He's doing technically 4 clicks of damage on 2 different characters, which is great. If he somehow gets next to 3 of them, that's even better. But that's kind of pushing it. But yeah, that's pretty good. He keeps that for 2 clicks, and then he goes on to take up Sidestep, loses his Quake, keeps his toughness, and gains a special called Explosive Infiltration, which is actually, it's cool just in terms of never seeing it before. It's not really great in combat situations. Then he keeps that for 2, losing his toughness, and then he's KO'd. So he's got 4 clicks of life, much like the weaker version, but his abilities overall are stronger, which is just great. But yeah, that's his basic dial breakdown. His special is Explosive Infiltration. When he hits 1 or more opposing characters, I can destroy a wall or square of blocking terrain within 3 squares. So he literally blows up the wall nearby as he's like making his attack and hits the other guy. So that's cool just from like a thematic standpoint, but overall I don't really know. I guess if you were fighting against someone who's run a lot of barrier abilities or something, that'd be pretty cool. Or if you just wanted to blow shit up, I mean, but yeah, I definitely don't dislike any of these Hydra clicks. Just generally speaking, they got some pretty neat abilities that fit well into the Hydra Swarm team, and they fit perfectly into the Imperial Hydra ability, which I'll get into later on. But yeah, what's next? Alright, next up we've got a character named Nomad. Now, for those of you who are comic book savvy, you might recognize Nomad as the name that Captain America took, I think around the 1960s, 1970s, when he sort of lost faith in his country and then decided to wander as a character who had no country. But this is not a different Captain America. This is definitely his own thing. As you can see, his shield is literally serrated. So he is literally doing some damage with his Captain America shield. To help explain it, I'll get right into his click and his star ability. He's got 0 range, but that's fixed very, very quickly. Indomitable, otherwise basic click, and a star ability right over here. Now the star ability kind of explains who he is in terms of a comic book standpoint. His star ability is Armin Zola's son, raised by Steve Rogers. So Armin Zola, you might recognize from the MCU. He is the Nazi scientist who appears in both movies. He's not the Red Skull. He's the kind of side character in the first Avengers, and he is the Nazi scientist who was rebuilt in the computers in Captain America: Winter Soldier. So in the comic books, he didn't go into a computer and just completely live there. He kind of sort of existed in this amalgamous sort of region where he was actually able to have 2 kids. One of them is named Jack Black and will show up in the Uncommons video, probably 2 or 3 videos down the line. And that is actually his sister. And then you also have this Nomad who kind of takes after Steve Rogers as he was raised by him. But his star ability, when he built the Force, let me point out, Nomad has no real team keywords up top here. He's got the warrior, but he doesn't have any like set things. He's not a shield agent. He's not a Hydra agent. He's not whatever. But his special is when you build the Force, he gains the keywords that friendly characters named Armin Zola, Captain America, or Steve Rogers have. So that allows him to then join shield in following Captain America or Steve Rogers. And when he's adjacent to one of those characters, you modify his defense by +1. So he's a little bit more powerful when he's near his father or his father figure. But yeah, so that's kind of where he came from. He was Armin Zola's son, who then got adopted and raised by Steve Rogers throughout the comics. And then he sort of took up the name Nomad after Steve Rogers and went on and did his own thing. As his card says, the wandering spirit of a man who offers hope to the hopeless, a man with no name, no face, no home. That's literally what they call his first 3 abilities here, right up here. Alright, let's go into his dial. He starts with Charge, a special called Serrated Shield, which we'll get into in a second, and Combat Combat Reflexes. Let's see, he keeps that for 2 clicks, and then he trades in for Sidestep, Quake, and Invulnerability, and he gains Exploit Weakness. So he gets a little bit better in close combat because he's got Reducer, and he's got Penetrating Damage, which is good. And then, let's see, he keeps that for 2 clicks. Well, he trades in the Exploit Weakness for Close Combat Expert, which in my opinion is a little bit better for a close combat fighter like him. And then, let's see, yeah. Then he trades in his Invulnerability for Regeneration and his Sidestep for Stealth on his next click. But he keeps the Close Combat Expert, and then on his final click, it's the same, so he's got his regen for 2 clicks, which is great, because if you don't have it for at least 2 clicks, your odds of actually landing on your regen click when you need it is very minimal. So that's great. Close Combat Expert is great in its own right, and Stealth would be useful if he needs to get away, hide away, and heal up for a little bit, so that's cool. So yeah, pretty solid dial. Let's see. Yeah, 6 clicks of life, and yeah, only one real special to talk about. So overall, he's definitely a close combat fighter. Between the Charge, the Quake, Close Combat Expert, what else did he have? Combat Reflexes, Exploit Weakness, all that sort of stuff. He is a close combat fighter. Get him up and in the person's face as fast as you can to do as much damage as you can. And for 80 points, you really can't argue with some of those powers. I mean, regeneration, you don't see that very often. But yeah, his Serrated Shield ability, which is really cool. He keeps that for his first 2 clicks, so that gives you a little bit of usability out of it. It gives him a range of 4, and he can use Blades, Claws, Fangs, and may use it to replace his damage value when given a ranged combat attack. So he's literally got blades on his shield that he can then throw at somebody, and then when that hits, he can roll for Blades, Claws, Fangs. He can do up to 6 or down to 1. According to his dial, he's definitely got the odds in his favor. He's got a printed damage of 2. 1, then it was a bad idea. 2, it didn't hurt. 3 through 6, so 66% chance. It was definitely a good idea to throw that shield. But yeah, he is the final common, and his click is a great lead into the uncommons because it's got some power that you don't see in the commons very often. So that's great. And this was the end of the commons. So that's the end of that. If you guys like what you saw, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, leave some comments about what you liked, what you didn't like. What did you think of this common set? I mean, I personally loved it. There was a lot of shield agents. There was a lot of Hydra agents. Very, very meaty in the sort of swarm teams that I like to run. So that's always great. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of fun stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.